When Faith Becomes Armor, The Hidden Rituals of Quiet Strength. Sections, Dawn of Resolve. When the first light of dawn filters through the curtains, a man rises quietly. He does not yet speak, though the day awaits. Instead, he moves with intention, bare feet on the cold floor, hands steady and deliberate. This is the beginning of his daily ritual, not to impress or to perform, but to prepare an invisible shield. He pours hot water and breathes in the steam, not just to awaken his body, but to center his mind. In these pre-dawn hours, there is no audience, no applause. He lifts each weight in silence, letting the clatter become a meditation. In the small acts, like the repetition of lifting and pausing, his body remembers that discipline is strength. He bows his head each morning, not before any carved idol, but before the silent witness of dawn itself. This act of humility reminds him that discipline is not punishment, but gratitude in motion. Over months and years, these countless sunrises become the slow chiseling away of doubt, leaving behind the hard rock of resolve. He does not know the day or the trial it will be needed, but he trusts that such preparation is never wasted. He steps outside into a sky smeared with colors only waking eyes can see. The air is crisp, but inside him a quiet warmth grows. Like the sun slowly burning away the night, his faith begins to glow from within. With each breath he takes, slow and steady, his focus sharpens. He is alone but not lonely. In this solitude he finds a familiar courage. As his heart thuds in rhythm with the rising day, he knows the challenges will come, but they will not catch him unprepared. By the time the rest of the world stirs, he has already won a small war against doubt and hesitation. In the boardroom, or on the workshop floor, under fluorescent lights or midday sun, those quiet morning rituals follow him. When problems arise, he does not panic. Others might notice him adjusting his posture or checking his watch, but what they do not see is the quiet confidence behind his steady gaze. Before leaving for the responsibilities of the day, he pauses at the desk. There lies a leather-bound journal, its pages worn thin by time. For just a moment, he flips it open and writes a single line, a note of gratitude, an intention, a confession of fear turned into quiet hope. He writes not to share with anyone, but to remind himself of who he aspires to be. With the pen's scratch, he connects yesterday's lessons to tomorrow's promise. Then he closes the cover softly, feeling a flicker of warmth in his chest. As the sun climbs higher, he steps into the world prepared. He feels an unseen weight on his shoulders, not burdensome, but familiar, like a cloak forged by discipline and faith. This morning's rituals have woven an armor around his spirit, a shield that will spark when doubt or despair tries to pierce it. And so he moves forward, each footfall deliberate and strong, carrying the quiet faith that has become his greatest defense. In the chaos of midday, an unexpected storm of deadlines or a sudden crisis, he remains still. The roots anchored in the morning's disciplines keep him standing firm. Others may lose their footing under pressure, voices raised and tempers flared, but he speaks softly and moves calmly. He is the silent eye of the storm, unflinching as the world whirls around him. As dusk finds him again by that same window, he does not ask if the day was fair or not. Instead, he thanks the stillness within that faced another day without breaking. He has no illusions of being invincible, but he knows something far deeper. Each morning he chose faith, and in that choosing he became stronger than the trials. Now he closes his eyes, laying down the cloak of day, a simple prayer of gratitude on his lips as night falls. He does not live without fear, but he carries it differently now. When fear knocks, he meets it with the calm of the morning. There are no guarantees in life, but he has one sure thing, the decision each day to rise and face another dawn. Each ritual is a rung on an invisible ladder, each moment of faith a plate of the armor he carries. He rests, knowing the armor he has built is ready to face tomorrow's dawn. The silent forge. Under the cover of darkness, long before anyone else stirs, he enters the gym. The only sounds are the faint hum of a fluorescent light and the heavy clank of iron. He is alone with the barbells and the echo of his own breath. In this space, he becomes both student and master, forging resilience in the quiet repetition of work. Each push and each lift is a deliberate act, as deliberate as prayer in the early hours. He imagines himself as a blacksmith at his anvil. With each lift of the weight or swing of a kettlebell, he strikes the iron of his limitations. The burn in his muscles is a tempering fire, shaping something stronger in the core of his being. Sweat beads on his brow, but he does not step back. Instead, he welcomes the effort and its sound as if it were the chisel on stone. For this man, Exercise is not vanity. It is a ritual of faith, faith in the body that houses the spirit, and faith in the spirit that endures beyond the body's limits. It is said that in a distant forge, a craftsman hammered for a century, shaping swords that would never rust. Some say he believed the metal would remember the warmth of his faith. Like that craftsman, our warrior knows something about transformation, that fire and persistence can turn the soft steel of fear into the hardest alloy of courage. He too carries this lesson forward with calloused hands and steady eyes. When people wonder why he rises so early to train, he smiles with quiet certainty. He is building a strength others will notice only when they need it. Each morning spent here is a page in a parable written with sweat. He will never advertise that parable. Its words are etched in the fibers of his muscles and the sinews of his heart. Yet the lesson is clear to him. Slow, steady faith multiplies small victories. When the real battles come, be they in boardrooms or on literal battlefields, he has practiced holding strong long before the first arrow flies. And when he meets the challenge, he will stand without thinking, because he has already practiced standing tall. He ties his faith tightly to these routines. Each morning's workout becomes a silent vow to himself that he will not yield, even when the world demands everything he has. He does not know what challenges tomorrow will bring, but he trusts that if he can survive another round at the weights, he can meet tomorrow's trials with the same resolve. Outside, life has no script. Crises erupt at any moment. A sudden conflict at work, news of illness, a loved one's fear. Yet he has given himself a quiet advantage. By being methodical and constant in this ritual, he has tempered himself for the unpredictable heat of the real world. The clatter of weights he leaves behind has made his spirit echo-proof. He has tempered anger, sharpened patience, forged kindness in the crucible of repetition. When he must stand firm against trouble, he will do so instinctively. His stance was rehearsed countless times in the quiet of the morning. As the gym's doors open to the light, he shakes out his arms with a sense of calm satisfaction. In the mirrored reflection, he sees a man ready for anything. Each bead of sweat shines like proof that he has earned this strength. He will carry these forged habits into the battles of the day, not as armor to show off, but as a silent confidence in his bones. For him, strength is a promise kept one workout at a time, a habit that covers the heart in plate armor even when the battlefield is invisible. He leaves in the growing daylight, each step easy on legs that have been both tested and strengthened. He heads into his day not because he is unafraid, but because he is prepared. The gym behind him is empty now, but he is far from empty inside. Instead, he feels full of a quiet vigor. This is how he works. Alone, in the silent forge of early morning, where faith and effort strike an unbreakable bond. He thinks of others as he strains. Each lift becomes a quiet prayer for those he serves, a promise that he will stand strong when they need him. He steps out as quietly as he arrived, moving into the light of dawn with calm assurance. He knows tomorrow's dawn will find him ready again, a man who has forged his own armor, prepared to be the pillar for all who lean on him, the quiet warrior. He stands on watch in the dead of night, helmet heavy on his brow and rifle cradled in calm hands. The world around him is still, lit only by distant flares and the glint of stars. In the hush before dawn, he checks his gear with steady movements, each click and clink familiar. To the outside world, it might look like routine, but for him, each night on duty is an unseen ritual. Every piece of equipment he touches is a silent affirmation. He is prepared, disciplined, and at peace with the uncertainty of what lies ahead. As he fastens his boots on the cold ground, his thoughts drift to home. A faded photograph of his daughter peeks from his chest pocket, and he lets his fingers brush over it briefly. He takes a deep breath and closes his eyes for a moment. There is no temple here, no sanctuary, but this quiet night. Yet he offers a prayer, wordless and simple, as old as the horizon behind him. It is an act of faith that steels his nerves. In darkness, he chooses to stand guard, believing his vigilance is a shield for those he loves. There is a story that he carries with him of a soldier who once said, "Our true battles are fought within us." He remembers that in the chaos of combat, his command sergeant's voice cut through the noise, telling him to always stay steady. Tonight, he relives those lessons in silence. When a distant explosion shakes the sand at 3 a.m., he does not flinch. His fingers tighten on the rifle, but his heart stays still. Someone else might panic, but he has practiced being the calm before every storm. He finds reassurance in the echo of each slow heartbeat. In the stillness, he kneels beside a foxhole and whispers a quiet thanks to the sky. Moonlight illuminates his face as he murmurs promises, not promises of safety, which he knows he cannot guarantee, but promises of faith. Each time he does this, he reminds himself why he is here. It isn't isn't glory or praise that he seeks, but something quieter and more enduring. The certainty that in serving others, he has found his own clarity. Faith in action, practiced under the vast silence of desert stars. He recalls the first time he saw combat. Fear had sat heavy in his gut, threatening to consume him. But a voice in his mind guided him through. Disciplined voice he had cultivated in training. He listened to that inner officer, counting his breaths in and out, taking one deliberate step after another. By the time the firefight ended, he was wounded, but he stood straight. Even as blood stained his uniform, he was calm. That night, he realized how his daily routines, so quiet and small, had become real armor within him. Morning creeps up on the horizon, painting the encampment in pale light. As the sun rises, he lowers his rifle and rises from his watch point. Other soldiers come awake, bleary-eyed, but he walks among them alert and serene. He shares water and a quiet nod, passing on the sense of order he has maintained all night. When fellow guards feel jittery at sunrise, he stands by silently, letting his presence speak. His calm courage is contagious. Others feel steadied just by watching him survey the horizon with unwavering focus. When his shift ends, he does not linger in tired fatigue. Instead, he performs one more ritual. He kneels in the morning sun, mud on one knee, and bows his head. It might look like exhaustion, but really it is gratitude. He is thankful to have been the one to hold the line through the night, and thankful for the discipline that carried him through. In that quiet moment, he gathers himself for the day's tasks ahead, knowing he has already won a victory within. He returns to camp with shoulders relaxed and heart steady. To some, war is violence and loud triumph. To him, it is punctuated by these quiet moments. He knows the greatest battles are sometimes silent, fought in prayer, preparation, and trust. Each day he lives this truth, his faith literally sheltering him. There is nothing flashy about it, no medals pinned to his chest for these rituals, but there is armor in their simplicity. When faith becomes armor, it does not shout. It stands ready, calm and unbroken. A father's vigil night has fallen heavy, and the hospital room is bathed in the glow of a single lamp. A father kneels by his daughter's bedside, her face pale but peaceful under the thin hospital blanket. She is too young to understand why she's here, and he sees the fear in his own eyes reflected back at him in hers. Yet he speaks softly, telling her about the heroes in her favorite bedtime story, painting courage into each word. His voice is calm. Every lullaby he sings is a thread of faith woven into the blankets of night. In the silence of his home long ago, he would walk the porch every night after tucking his children in bed, eyes scanning the dark edges of the yard. Each creaking floorboard and rustle of leaf reminded him of the unseen, and he performed those patrols as quietly as a vow. He did not know then that these humble routines were forging armor in him, protections folded into each careful step. Now, kneeling beside his daughter, he realizes those years of nightly vigil were preparing him for this very watch. The hours pass as he holds her hand, feeling the faint pulse match his own. He does not move even when weariness aches in his muscles. His mind reaches back to rituals that have carried him through harder days. The silent prayer he said each morning, the nights he stood alone under the porch light recounting blessings. It was in those rituals that he built a foundation strong enough to support this moment. He has prayed for many things quietly, for strength, for help, for dawn, and tonight he offers them all in return for the faintest whisper of relief. He remembers the story his father once told him of a shepherd who stood firm as thunder crashed around his sheep. The storm tried to scatter the flock, but the shepherd would not abandon them, no matter how long the night lasted. A soldier of faith himself, he knows he must do the same. He slides his hand to her forehead, feeling sweat that has nothing to do with fever, but everything to do with fear. In that moment, he realizes his faith, practiced in moments no one else saw, has become his shield. The doctor makes her rounds at dawn, checking her progress under the watchful eyes of this quiet guardian. When he speaks, the father's voice is steady. Each time the baby breathes or lets out a soft sigh, he squeezes her hand, even in sleep, reassuring himself that she is safe. He whispers prayers with each breath, promises to fight on for them both, though his only weapon is this gentle vigil. If this room is a battlefield, then prayer is the shield in his hand. Morning light breaks through the window, painting the room in gold. He remains by her side, even as he finally allows sleep to claim him for a few moments, feeling the weight of watchfulness lift briefly. But he does not leave. He remembers his own parents staying by his bed when he was young and hurting. He thought of his father's words from long ago, "I will always be here for you no matter what comes." Now that same promise reverberates through his bones. As she finally drifts into a peaceful slumber, he allows himself a quiet exhale. He has held his watch through the darkness, and in that quiet endurance he finds a small dawn of peace within himself. He is no stranger to fear, but he has become a master of stilling it. Each night, before closing his eyes, he He counts the day's trials and blessings. This personal ritual reminds him of how faith diminishes fear. He is far from alone. In every camp and on every front there are many like him, ordinary men with extraordinary trust. Each sunrise a small victory for them, each night a whispered promise to stand guard again. He is proof that faith does not shout about its triumphs. When faith becomes armor, it stands ready, calm and unbroken. The weight of loss, he laces up his boots in the half-light of dawn. By the time the sun peaks above the horizon, his boots have pounded countless miles of pavement. Each step is heavy, not from fatigue, but from the weight he carries inside. A year ago, under these same skies, he watched the world dim at the loss of his friend. Every mile run today is a prayer for strength, every breath a promise to keep moving forward. Even when his heart still hesitates, he sets one foot in front of the other, tracing the same streets they used to tread together. Each familiar turn triggers a memory, the time they lost and found a stray dog, the triumphant laughter when they finally tracked it home. In these moments, grief walks beside him like an old friend, sad but present. He carries on step by step alongside it. His morning routine became a sacred promise. He remembers how they trained together as boys, inseparable as brothers. Now he runs with one empty sleeve where his companion once was, imagining the silent encouragement echoing in his ear. He slows his pace, catching his reflection in a shop window, the same face only worn slightly differently. Yet he straightens, shoulders squared. The discipline that got him out here, the same early mornings and silent prayers, is now his constant comrade. At work, he remains composed. His colleagues see the calm exterior, the man who works late, patient with apprentices, who never complains. What they do not see is the ritual he performed before walking into the factory floor. 5 minutes of quiet breathing and words of resolve. When a mistake happens on the assembly line, others might curse or panic. He breathes, pauses, and corrects with steady hands. Each problem he solves, he does as if guided by the memory of his friend's trust in him. Every bolt he tightens, every order he fills, he imagines is done for both of them. He often works through lunch at his friend's favorite food truck, sitting at their regular table. The vendor knows his grief and quietly serves an extra sandwich. This little routine, eating alone in the same spot, feeds him in body and memory. Though he is alone, the quiet comfort of those shared meals keeps him company. There is an old saying about the blacksmith: the best steel is forged in the hottest fire. He feels that truth in the muscle of his heart. Every sleepless night, every ache of missing, these were the flames. Yet here he is, standing, breathing deeply in the aftermath. He does not gloat over his endurance, because to him it was only walking the path they had set out on together, only with a heavier pack. As night falls, he sits alone on the porch, hands wrapped around a mug of tea. A photograph of their younger selves leans against the railing. He does not need to speak to feel the other's presence. A soft breeze flutters the page of the open notebook on his lap. He had scribbled a few lines each night this week. Each entry is a quiet conversation with himself and the friend he lost. Fears admitted softly, gratitude whispered into the dark, and the old promise renewed. By the end of the entry, he closes it with a note. Today I lived for both of us. It is enough, and with that thought he closes the book. Tomorrow he will rise again. The massive grief will still be there, heavier on some days, lighter on others. But he has learned this. The weight of loss does not break him. Instead, it cements him to his purpose. Each morning's discipline has taken that weight and made it armor. He smiles softly to himself, grateful that each new day grants him the strength to carry on their story. His faith and discipline have become his armor, shining quietly even in the darkest of nights. At night he often kneels in the dark, praying, not to forget the friend he lost or the lessons they shared. He fights not out of anger, but out of love and remembrance. The road ahead may be long, but he will face it as he always has, quietly and steadily, one step at a time. Still, waters run. Deep in the early morning haze, he walks barefoot along the shore of a still lake. The mist rises as if exhaling from the water itself. He sets down his bag and sinks to the ground, crossing his legs and straightening his back. There is no immediate purpose to this practice, no audience to impress. Here, in the silence of dawn, he sits like the mountains around him, unmovable, quiet, and deeply awake. Each breath he takes is as deliberate as the slow lapping of the lake against the sand, each held breath a focus on the moment. It is said among the elders of his village that still waters run deep. He believes it. The lake's surface is calm, but he knows the current below is powerful and patient. In this borrowed stillness, he empties his mind of noise. A flicker of sunrise paints his closed eyelids gold, as he listens to thoughts drift by. Memories of failures or anger float up, regrets from yesterday or worries for tomorrow, and one by one he lets them continue downstream. In their place, he allows a quiet hope to take root. Hours pass. The sun climbs higher and the air thins, but he remains in place. His breath comes slow and steady, matching the beat of his quiet heart. When his phone rings, snapping him back, he steps out of his meditation with the calm of the lake itself. A crisis at work, maybe an unexpected breakdown or a sick co-worker, demands immediate attention. He bows his head briefly, ending his practice with a final bow of gratitude, then stands to face the day. At the factory under fluorescent lights and urgent shouts, he operates with the calm he found by the water. Others around him flinch under pressure, but he reacts with measured responses. He resolves conflicts with a soft voice, makes decisions with deliberation. Each problem he solves, he does as if guided by the quiet of the dawn. Co-workers may laugh that he is odd for his morning ritual, but they cannot deny its effect. He is the calm at the center of their storm. Once he clung to anger like a shield when a heated argument almost broke his family. But after that night, he turned to this practice. He took a spool of thread and sewed his own patience, stitch by stitch. Years of silence built up a reservoir within him. Now, even when stress flares around him, he returns to stillness like coming home. He learned that silence can speak louder than frustration, and so he now teaches by example. If he does not explode, others begin to settle. When he finally rises, the world is fully awake and around him bustle reminds him of its rhythm. Each step he takes away from the lake feels certain and light. He has embraced the quiet current within, and it has become his greatest source of strength. In the reflection of the water in the dawn, he saw a man at peace, knowing that though storms may rage, his deep waters would always hold him. He had been a different man years ago, impulsive and anxious. Now he knows that patience is a muscle strengthened by stillness. If someone had told him 5 years ago that he would greet each day in silence and surrender, he would not have believed it. Yet here he is, proof that the discipline of each quiet morning becomes the steady strength of every day. He does not claim to be free of worry, but he has found something deeper to rely on. Still waters run deep. He smiles at his own reflection, grateful for the silence that changed him. He does not claim to have all the answers, but he has found an unshakable center. In the stillness, his faith took root, growing strong beneath the surface. Each sunrise he sits here, he adds one more brick to the foundation of his resilience. Truly still waters run deep. In the quiet places of his heart, a vast strength is prepared to meet whatever may come. The summit, he begins before dawn, stepping onto the rocky trail that winds up the mountain. In the quiet darkness, his headlamp casts a narrow beam ahead. Each step is sure, guided by routine, a morning prayer for safe passage, a silent promise to see it through. The path is steep and narrow, but he has walked this way before, in both dreams and resolve. As the first birds begin to call, he finds rhythm in the climb, one foot planting firmly, the other lifting with effort. His breath comes slow and steady, matching the beat of his quiet heart, ready for whatever comes. As the first orange streaks of sunrise creep over the horizon, he pauses on a flat ledge to rest. His heart is pounding, but a calm certainty has settled in his chest. From here, he can see how far he has come. The villages below look like clusters of stones, the river a glinting ribbon in the valley. He remembers a teacher telling him, "Great heights require quiet strength." He takes a sip of water and looks upward again. The peak is not far, but he knows it will demand everything. He closes his eyes, listening to the mountain's song in the gentle breeze. A sudden wind picks up, and mist swirls around him. Loose gravel shifts underfoot, and even a small slip could send him tumbling. But he is prepared. His hands grip the cool stone beside him, eyes locked on the next hold. Each muscle remembers the countless mornings lifting weights, running upstairs, and doing push-ups at the break of dawn. Those invisible reps are real now. His legs feel as strong as steel. He presses an inner hand to the rock, steadying himself. Each prayer he whispered in hardship has become his quiet companion. Halfway up, he stumbles and lands hard on one knee. A sharp pain shoots through him, but he catches his breath. For a moment, he wants to curse the mountain, curse the ache. But he remembers another saying, "A warrior grows stronger in the moment of impact." He stands slowly, brushes the dirt from his hands, and pushes on. A steady river of determination flows through him. The blood from the scrape on his knee will clean itself in the morning sun. That small wound means nothing. He refuses to let it slow his ascent. He thinks of all the times he rose at dawn before anyone else. Each run, each prayer over coffee, those were the training hikes of his life. Every challenge he faced, each day he showed up and persevered, has prepared him for this trail. The mountain he climbs now is tall, but he realizes the mountain he climbed every day in life was just as high. A ladder of routines and faith, step by step. He understands that the strength he needs was never solely in these arms and legs. It was in the resolve he built, hidden in each routine. The sun climbs higher and the air grows thin. His lungs burn, but he does not slow. On a narrow ridge near the top, he pauses again, reaching into his pocket for a talisman. It is a small stone given by a mentor, smooth and round. He holds it tightly and whispers a promise to the sky, a prayer of thanks for those who believed in him and for the man he is becoming. Step by deliberate step, he continues the ascent. Each stride is a quiet act of faith. Finally, he stands at the summit. Dawn's light fully bathes the world in gold. He steps out of the shadow into the sun, feeling warmth against his face. For a moment, he closes his eyes against the brilliance, absorbing it into himself. When he opens them, the panorama unfolds, peaks and valleys stretching endlessly. He stretches his arms wide, not in boast, but to feel the air against his soul. In this supreme silence above all things, he offers thanks with folded hands. There is no shout. His heart's triumph is an echo only he hears. He does not need anyone to witness his victory. His celebration is quiet, a deep breath, a bowed head, a tear tracing down his dusty cheek. Below, life goes on in its clamor, but here on this peak all that matters is stillness. He knows that each ritual and routine gave him this moment. Each dawn he once endured in darkness, each silent prayer on cold mornings. His faith has become his armor, and now at the mountain's top it glows with a gentle warmth. He begins the descent carrying something different, a soul reaffirmed by quiet faith. The unseen guardians, the sun has not risen, yet a few men are already gathered in the church basement. No fanfare, no hymns, just a circle of hands clasped. In darkness, the soft murmur of hopes and fears shared with the air. They do not announce themselves as guardians, but they might as well. Each man offers prayers not just for himself, but for strangers and neighbors, weaving a web of quiet support around the day ahead. In this hidden vigil, their faith becomes armor for many, interceding in silence for lives they will never see. Down the block, a father quietly sets the table for the neighbors of a friend who passed away. They will never know who left the casserole dish on their porch or who walked off with the trash bins that tipped in the wind. It isn't done for credit. To him, these acts are instinctual discipline. He saw grief behind those closed doors and leaned in to bear a piece of it. In doing so, he wears his faith outwardly, like armor that shines only in the warmth it reflects. Late on Friday nights, one man repairs the empty pews and washes the floors, long after the last folding chair is put away. It's not a paid duty. He could simply go home, but he stays until every crumb is gone and every window is clean. By morning, when Sunday's congregation files in, they never hear of this. Yet the sanctuary stands ready because he served it in silence. Each scrub and polish is a pledge that their refuge is preserved by hands they will never see. There's a parable some of them remember, of a grandfather clock that kept time for a whole village. The town relied on its steady ticking without ever offering praise. When it stilled one day, everyone realized how every minute had been a silent gift. The men around him understand they are like that clock. They carry burdens, fix troubles, and pray through long hours, not for applause, but because it must be done. None of them would admit to being heroes, yet every stitch of kindness, every quiet ritual, is proof of their strength. As the week goes on, each goes about his duties. A mechanic who leaves the shop door open so others can find their rides. A teacher who stays late to fix a student's broken glasses. A veteran who volunteers to listen to the lonely. They may never meet one another, but they share the same code. Do good quietly, serve without show. Their rituals are simple and deeply human. A prayer said before sunrise, a loaf of bread baked for the sick, a pledge in the heart to stand ready. Day by day, the armor of their faith builds, even if the world never knows it. For every person who finds hope in the morning, an unseen guardian has done their part in the night before. These men are not looking for reward, only guided by the quiet faith that compels them. The world may not know their names, but the impact of their discipline reaches far beyond what any single life could show. They are not looking for recognition. They carry on their secret work because it must be done. In living this way, they give a quiet reminder. Not all strength is witnessed, And not all heroes wear a badge or carry a sword. Some simply start each day as they always have, fulfilling rituals that become armor for themselves and the lives they touch. Theirs is a legacy of silent service, faith in action without fanfare, proving that quiet strength can change the world even if no one ever sees it. The final hour in, the still hours before dawn, the hospital's corridors are empty. He walks through them with measured steps, heading to the operating room. The sterile lights hum to life as he enters. At the sink, he washes his hands and arms meticulously. Each scrub is a ritual. Though he whispers no prayers, his mind is steady, tracing silent blessings. He's done this routine 1,000 times, but tonight it feels new, the weight of responsibility heavy, yet familiar. He remembers his first surgery, terrified but determined. He made a silent vow back then. If given the chance to save a life again, he would do it with calm and faith. That vow lives in him now. Now he stands above the operating table. His patient is a child whose life hangs in the balance. Around him, machines beep urgently. A nurse's eyes are fixed on the monitors. He pauses, taking a deep breath drawn from those quiet mornings of discipline. The legacy of every dawn he endured gives him perspective. There is no fear now, only focus. Each movement is precise, each decision made with intention. Under his breath, he murmurs, "You are in safe hands." Not for the team, but to remind himself of the promise he carries. The boy's name is a prayer on his lips. In these moments, the faith he has built carries him through as surely as a shield. Hours pass as dawn breaks and the machines chime each minute. Sweat beads at his brow, but he does not waver. When a sudden drop in the boy's blood pressure sends alarm through the room, he speaks with calm authority. Orders are given and the team responds swiftly. Other voices might tremble, but he stays the course. With steady hands and quiet confidence, he works through what could have broken him. He gently touches the boy and murmurs his name, a quiet communion amid the chaos. He closes incisions slowly and carefully, each stitch a promise that he will not fail. Finally, the crisis is over. The child's heartbeat steadies. Color returns to cheek and lips. Only then does he step back, tension melting from his posture. The child's safety feels as real to him as the dawn outside. He exhales a prayer of thanks under his breath, grateful for hands steady from years of preparation. He wipes his eyes discreetly, relief and gratitude mixing in silence. Around him, the team exhales too, relief washing over the room. There is no applause, no fanfare, just the gentle beep of the monitors and a grateful smile from a mother in the corner. In this final hour, the armor of his faith has saved a life. As he walks home in the morning light, fatigue tugs at his body, but not his spirit. Tears still linger on his cheeks from joy and relief, though he quietly brushes them away. The city is waking, but he hears a whisper in his heart. You did what you promised. He knows he will not be celebrated by name, but that is fine. His victory echoes quietly into the lives of those who love that child. Each step he takes on the pavement is an affirmation. The silent discipline of every dawn was worth it. He smiles inwardly and steps into the hospital courtyard, feeling the weight of responsibility lighter than before. He bows his head in gratitude, a silent pause, then crosses into the morning. Each new day will be another chance to live out the rituals he has always believed in. For this final hour of crisis only highlighted what his quiet faith had already taught him, that the smallest routines can become the strongest armor. He carries on with his day, a man much like any other, yet inside he knows something profound. Each ritual, each quiet discipline has prepared him for this moment when it mattered most. The blood he shed on the mountain, the prayers at dawn, the silence at the lake, all of it was for this hour. He does not need a hero's spotlight now. His victory is written quietly in the beating heart before him and the steady pulse of his own life continuing. Faith has become his true armor, and as the sun climbs, he walks on, not because he is fearless, but because he has learned to be unbreakable.